Hi everybody, I'm Stefan for cgtetsplus.com, and in this tutorial we are going to start working on our laptop in Cinema 4D, start texturing, lightening it and animating some cameras, and prepare it for rendering. So as you can see, that's how the model looks like once it's imported in Cinema 4D. And we need to group all those elements and rename them so we know exactly which one is which. And let's start. Let's select our materials here and delete them, and delete all the material and texture tags as well here. And the next thing that we need to do is to put it in the center of our scene. So let's select this element here, and let's if the anchor point is not in the center of the element, just go to mesh axis center axis 2, and it's going to put the axis in the center of this object. Right now let's select the object and let's rename it to body bottom maybe, and hit Alt G to create a new object, and select all the rest of the elements and just drop them inside the new object. And once all the elements are inside the new object, we can select the new object and go to the coordinates and just reset it and put it right in the center of our scene. And let's call this one laptop, and let's right click, go to Cinema 4D tags and just drop a compositing tag and set an object buffer 1, because almost in each scene we are going to want to have a complete alpha channel for the laptop, so it's good to have this tag here. And now let's select all the elements and see everything. Here is our keyboard, as you can see. So let's see, this is our logo glass element. Let's remove it and put it here, and this is our power, and just let's zoom out and select the keyboard and just click Alt G, and let's name this one keyboard. And let's make a copy of the keyboard just in case, and just select all the objects inside and just right click and choose connect plus delete, and this is going to create a single object for our keyboard. And let's see what we have here. This is HDMI, and HDMI. So let's group this into no object and call it HDMI. Let's select this and let's call it USB 3. Let's call this one USB 2. It's very important to organize your project, and let's call this USB 1, and let's remove the logo glass here and select this and let's call it logo base, and let's group this to logo, and let's turn on the glass so we can see it, and let's click on this one, and this is our, let's see, this is our screen. And we need to right click on this one, go to Cinema 4D tags and set an external compositing tag, because we are going to want to replace this with a video or pictures in After Effects, and we want it as a solid. and basically that's it for the screen. And this is our, let's see, this is our one plug here, and here what we have is, let's see, this in this object. Let's group this, and let's go with core, because from here the laptop cool down and get some nice coat there. And this is our top body, and we want to select the screen and the body and just group it, and let's name this top part. And let's click here and see we have a jack here, which is for our headphones, and this is our speakers, and this is our body. As you can see, it doesn't take that long to group all the elements, and for this you can see that it's a pretty small element, and it's going to have some flickering issues, so you have to increase the anti-aliasing for this one, but we are going to do that a bit later. So with that ready, let's start creating our materials and texture the laptop, so we can move on and animate and white it. The first material that we are going to create is our main material, so let's double click and let's name this one main core for our laptop. And let's set the core to a pretty dark gray core around this, and let's click OK. And after that, go to the reflection tab and let's enable the reflection, and let's set this to 20. And after that, let's set the blurriness to 10 and increase the minimum samples to 16, and probably set the max to 96 for now, and you can reduce the accuracy if you want. And let's go to the specular and let's play with it. We want to shrink it a bit and make it just like so, and that's our main core. So let's put this onto the main body and on this element, and basically that's the only parts that are going to be textured with this material. So that's it. Let's create a new material and let's call it screen. This is the material for our screen, and let's go to the core channel and set the core to completely black, because we are going to set the video in After Effects using screen or additive blending mode, and we want this to be completely black with a bit of specular and reflection. So let's enable the reflection. Let's set it to something very low, like 10, and let's go to blurriness and set this to 20, and keep the settings like so. And let's close this and put it on our screen here. Now let's create another material. Just double click and let's call this one chrome, and let's set the core to a 100% black core and set the reflection like so, and probably reduce it a bit to like 75%. And this specular, let's leave it like default. And this material, we are going to use it to texture these elements here. Let's see, these elements here, as well as the speakers. And let's see, here on this element, here on the USB and the HDMI, so the one, and our power here, and we are ready. Let's save the project and let's create a new material, and let's call it logo base. Set the color to 100% black color and set the reflection to maybe something like 10%, and let's enable the luminance channel as well, because we want to load our logo here, but we are going to do that a bit later. So let's double click to create another material, and let's call this one let's see, keyboard glow, and let's enable the luminance channel, and let's set the color to something like a green color, maybe remove the blue, something like that, and let's increase this to a pretty high number, and let's remove the specular, and we need to make a selection below the keyboard in order to apply the material, and this selection we are going to do it on the our bottom body. As you can see, we want to place this material right here below the keyboard. So let's leave it for now like so, and create the rest of the materials and then texture it. Let's double click to create a new material, and let's call this one touchpad, and let's click on the color and make it almost black, something like that, and let's click on the reflection and enable it, and let's set it to a low number like 20, and this is the texture for our touchpad. And one thing that I forgot to do is to select only the parts for the touchpad and make them in a separate group, so I'm going to do that right now with all the buttons here. So let's group this into touchpad, and let's delete the second copy of the keyboard. We are going to create a fresh one soon. And now the next material that we are going to do is a USB material, and let's call this one USB black. Let's go to the color channel, and let's make it like so. It's more of a gray. Let's rename this one gray, and let's go to the reflection, and let's set this to 10%, and let's close the material. We are going to put this here on the USB ports, and one of them is going to be green. So let's create a new material, and let's call this one USB green. Go to the color channel, and let's set this to 0, this to 255, and let's set this to like 10, and this is our green shader. Let's set the reflection to 15 for this one, and let's apply it here. And now let's move on. We need to create another shader for the glass of our row here, so let's call this one glass, and let's enable the transparency, and let's set the refraction to 1.3 maybe, and it's pretty easy, this material. let's apply it here, and let's go to the logo base, and let's see, we have this, which is our logo, and let's disable the luminance, set the reflection to 20, and we are going to apply this here, and let's double click to create another material, and we are going to name this one logo, and let's disable the color, let's enable the luminance and the reflection, let's set the reflection to 6 and set a bit of blur to the reflection, and let's enable the alpha as well, and we are going to go to load image, and let's load the Razer logo here, and let's go to the alpha and just load it again, just like so. And as you can see, we have a alpha channel for our logo, and we can apply this material right here on the logo base, and let's click here and set the projection to cubic, and let's reduce the size of it to something a bit smaller, and we don't want this one to tile, because we are going to see the tiles here, and let's turn off the glass object for now. And as you can see, when I click tile, the logo disappears, and that's because the center of our object is still here. So we can select the base, go to mesh axis center, and set the center here, and still take the logo, and let's zoom in and just position the logo here, probably scale it down a bit, just like so, scale it down even more, and that's our logo. And let's enable the glass object, and this is the logo. So the next step is to take our keyboard, select those keys, and let's group them into another node, and let's call it main keys, and let's create a copy and connect them and delete, and let's rename this to keyboard. Let's move it out from the no object, and let's select the keyboard here. Now let's make this one keyboard main. Select this, and let's change the layout from standard to UV edit, body paint UV edit. Now what we need to do is to go here and click on the paint setup wizard, and let's expand this and click deselect all, and just enable the keyboard main, which is the object that we are interested in. Let's click next, and here we are going to define the size of our texture. I prefer it pretty big, so let's click finish, and as you can see, it's going to load here. It takes a few seconds, and let's click close. After this is ready, we need to click here on this button, so you can see that we have all of our buttons here, and we need to go to the projection and do a frontal projection. But in order to do that, we need to go to cameras, and let's go to top and just position our keyboard like so, and let's click frontal, and as you can see, this is how it looks like. Probably we can just position it a bit better, and we can either tweak it here and just click to project it, or go to transform and just transform it here. I think it's a bit easier, at least for me, to do it here, and I think that's okay. And now let's go to layers, and we can click this button here, which creates outline for the UV mesh, or we can go to layer and create UV mesh layer, which, as you can see, this is what it does. And if we go to file, save texture as, we can choose whatever format we want. I prefer a PSD file, so I'm going to click OK, and let's call this one keyboard, and let's click save. Once we open this file in Photoshop, we are going to be able to type our letters here on the keyboard. So let's open the PSD file in Photoshop. Here is how the PSD file looks in Photoshop. So as you can see, it's pretty easy just to hit T for the type tool and type, for example, a letter and position it here. And if we hit Ctrl S to save this and jump into Cinema 4D and switch back to the standard layout here, let's switch the camera to perspective once again, and as you can see, nothing happens. And you can notice that we have a new material here, and if we double click on this material and go to the color channel, and you can see that we have our file loaded here. If we click here, reload image, and click yes, and this is going to reload our image. So if we do a render here, you can see that we have our letter with all the mesh, and since we don't want the mesh, we are going to switch to Photoshop and turn out the mesh layer and leave only the letters, and remove the background because we want them on an alpha channel. So let's hit Ctrl S to save, jump into Cinema 4D, and let's do another render, and we need to open the material and just reload the image. And as you can see, this is how it's going to look like. And the best solution is to make the background black, so we are not going to have any further problems in Cinema 4D, since our core of the buttons is going to be black as well. So I'm going to leave to you to type the letters, because it's pretty time consuming process, and I don't want to waste your time watching me just typing some letters and positioning them. So the file is included. Let's reload it once again, so we get a black core here. Let's save first of all, jump to Cinema, reload the file, yes, and we have our black keyboard. And of course we need to enable the reflection and just lower it, and probably set the blurriness to 10 or 15%. And that's it for creating the keyboard. So let's continue texturing the touchpad here and adding some whites in our scene. For setting up the whites for this project, I'm going to use the Grayscale Gorilla White Kit Pro. So let's just texture the touchpad here and the buttons here. And after that we can start creating the white setup. which is pretty easy. One thing that I'm going to use is the overhead softbox, and this is probably the only element I'm going to use for the project. So let's create one, and let's go to the HDRI Studio Pack and just drop a quick seamless 4. Now let's see, we need to select our laptop and move it up like probably 50 or 48 pixels or so. Let's go to the object mode and see. 48 seems to look okay. 48.5 or 0.2. Just let's keep it 48 for now, and that's okay. So this is our, let's put the seamless 4 here, and this is our first softbox. So let's first of all go to the object properties for the softbox and just increase the overall scale to 200% because we want a bit bigger softbox. We don't want to see it in our final render, so we need to turn off the scene by camera. Also, what we need to do is to increase our radius here to something like so, and we need to move it. Let's go to the coordinates, and we need to move it on the x-axis around here maybe, and just move it on the y-axis probably like so, and we need to move it on the z-axis as well, right here in front, because we want a white that hides the front part of our laptop. And now we need to rotate the softbox, so we are going to rotate it like so. We want it to be in a bit of an angle, and after that we are going to just rotate it maybe like so. Let's change this, and let's change this. So this is our first softbox, and if we do a render, you can see how our scene looks like. It's pretty dark right now, so we want to add some more softbox elements. So let's make a copy of the softbox, or better, just go and take a fresh copy. So let's see, let's go to the grayscale gorilla and import a new softbox, and for this one we are going to go to the properties for the softbox, or first let's move it on the, we want to move it on the z-axis, so let's move it like, see, we want it on the front part to white from this side, so around here, and we need to move it on the y-axis as well, so let's move it up here. So we want this one white to come from the top, and we need to move it on the x-axis as well. So let's move it around here at this point, and we need to rotate it, and I'm going to use the original rotation for this one. So this is our white here, and let's go to the softbox properties and let's increase the brightness to 300, and let's name this one left and this one left top, and let's increase the overall scale to 300% for this softbox, and we want the radius to be like so, and again we want to uncheck scene by camera. And now it's time to create a third softbox, so let's drop another into our scene, and let's go to the coordinates for the softbox, and let's change this like so, and probably rotate it a bit because we want the white to have some white here at this part for the first scene. And for this one, let's go this one top, and let's increase the brightness, increase the scale to 300%. We want it super big, and the radius is okay now, and let's click the scene by camera. So that's it for our white setup. Now what we need to do is to take let's select all of the elements and let's hide them for now. We don't want to see them in the viewport. We need to close the laptop, but before we do that we are going to save, and I'm going to make a copy of the project. So let's make a copy, and let's name the copy scene 2 for our next scene. And now let's open the laptop, and let's open the top part here, and as you can see, where is our anchor point for the top part, take it and manually move it. So let's go to the top viewport, and just move it in place because we want to close the laptop for this shot, and just position it here. And let's go to the this viewport, move it up a bit, and let's go to the side view, move it here, and if we try to rotate it like so, let's go to the coordinates, and we need to click on the move tool and change from object to world transform, and just move it like that. And let's go to the perspective, and here is how our laptop looks like. So now let's create a new camera. Let's close everything and let's create a new camera, and let's enable the camera. And the first thing that we are going to do is to go to the coordinates for the camera, and let's set them like so. Let's set this rotation and this like so, And basically what we need to do is to position the camera here. So this is our shot, and we need to go to the render settings by hitting Ctrl B and change this to 16:9, and we need to select our camera, go to object and set the focal length to 20 millimeters, and we want a depth of field, so we are going to go to details and enable the depth of field, and let's set this to 75 and this to 60. So we want a pretty shallow depth of field, and we need to go to the object and set the focus distance to 250, and let's go to the coordinates once again and see if everything is okay. So we can keyframe this, set a keyframe for all of the properties at the first frame, and move 63 frames forward, and let's set this to 63, and let's change this to -300. So we have this movement here, we want a slow movement, and let's change this to 2 and leave the rest as it is. So we want this type of movement, and let's play it back, and you can see that it starts slowly and it increases, and this is something that Cinema 4D does. So let's go to the timeline, let's select our camera, let's go to the curve editor, select the camera and select the position, select the Z position for our camera, and we want just to make it linear as well as the rotation, and let's close it, and if we play it back you can see how it looks like. So let's save, let's do a render to see how our scene looks like so far, and we need to change the color of our floor. So let's select the seamless floor, and let's make this like something like so, and let's see, we want this to be like so, and we want to make this a bit darker at the edges, and if we turn off the camera and zoom out you can see how it looks the scene. Let's do a quick render. So that's our laptop, and it doesn't look good because we need to turn the softboxes here, and let's do a render now. It takes a bit more time because of the shadows of the softboxes, so let's just try to zoom because we have a softbox in front of us. And let's see our scene, and we have to enable some anti-aliasing for the render because we have some reflections there, and this is the first scene, and we need to tweak the render settings. So let's save, and let's hit Ctrl B for the render settings, and let's change the resolution to 1280 by 720, and let's change the frame range to all frames, and let's go to anti-aliasing and set it to best 1:1 by 2:2. I think will be fine for this shot, and if there are problems you can increase the anti-aliasing locally for the USB elements using a compositing tag, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the next tutorials. So let's enable the multipass. Let's go to effect ambient occlusion. Let's turn it off for now. Let's go to multipass, add object buffer, and we want object buffer for our laptop, and we want depth. Let's see, we want shadow, and we want specular, and we want let's see, diffuse, just in case, and maybe ambient, and reflection. That are the passes that we want for this. And for the ambient occlusion, let's tweak it a bit. We can lower the accuracy and increase the contrast a bit. So that's it for the render of this scene here. This is our first scene. We have 5 more to do. So let's see if everything is okay. We need to create a floor and just turn it off and apply a external compositing tag to this one, and we want it to appear as a solid layer. And let's save, because let's open the render settings. When we save, we want to save a compositing project file for each scene, and this is going to make our life easier. So we want to save everything in PNG format, and choose the output location, turn on the camera and render it out. So that's it for the first tutorial. Hope you like it and find it useful. Once again, I'm Stefan for cgtutsplus.com, and we'll see you in the next part.